Hey Aditya. You can just call me Kunal. I'm also in college right now. All right. No issues. And let's get started then. First of all, I'd like to thank all of you like for giving your feedback like the previous meeting. That was a real motivation for me to continue this workshop today. I did notice that some of you said like you had problems with typing. You don't have to worry about that. Even if you're not able to keep up, since we have time constraints, we have to type a little bit fast. And if you're not able to keep up, the code will be shared with you after this workshop. So you don't have to worry about that. Okay. Uh, so what did we cover last week, right? We went through some positioning properties like position, relative, absolute, and fixed like that. Then we saw the Flexbox layout, how easily we can create like responsive layouts just using the display flex property. Then we went into transform property, in which we were able to see how we can basically transform an element. Like you can rotate the element by a certain angle or scale it by a certain percentage, like that. After that, we started like building the Spotify clone, and we finished the sidebar for the clone. Uh, any doubts so far with that? Any of you? No, right? I All right, no issues. I mean, the recording was shared, right? I mean, it's not a problem. I'll send the code again. You can look through that. Will you be able to follow along today with what we are doing today, right now, Aditya? Okay, all right, fine. And then today, what we'll be seeing is we'll be looking into like pseudo classes. We saw a few of them when we were building the clone, but we didn't exactly explain what it was. We'll look into what that is today. Then we'll see what the transition property is. Then animating elements in HTML using the animation property and the add keyframes property, CSS property. Then we'll also be diving into like responsive layout using media queries. So these are the four things that we'll be looking into CSS today. Let's get started then. Uh, yeah. I didn't do anything much special. I just created two files, index.html and style.css. I'll link the CSS file using the link tag. Okay. So for now, you can ignore the bottom two that we look into the further ones. You can see I've created a div with an ID container over here. So I'll go to my CSS file. Over here, I'll just put container. I'll put like a width of say 500 pixels and a height of 500 pixels and a background of lime green. Just we want to see that box, right? Okay, so here's the box. Okay, so now here what we've done is we've the div over here with the ID container. We've specified an width and height, but it's just an element there. We can't do much. It's just showing that the element is there, right? Uh, in general web pages, if you go, you can see that when you like go on top of a link or something, it gets highlighted. Uh, or even when you click on it, a different style appears for the element, right? So we can make those using pseudo classes. Okay, we call them pseudo classes in CSS. Pseudo classes. For now, the first one we'll see is the most common one you will see is when you go on top of element, like when your cursor comes on top of this, a particular style is applied. Okay, this particular state that when when that element goes through that, it's called an hover state. Okay, so you can give it using a pseudo class called hover. Okay, so you just target that container again, and you can put a pseudo class with a colon followed by the state or the pseudo class over here. So I just put hover, and I'll just change the background color to red or something like this. Okay, so now when my cursor goes over it, it will become red. See, is that clear, guys?
Yes, correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty
Yes.
impressive, right? Okay. Uh, However, we are not really limited to hover. There are multiple more we can do. What happens when a user clicks on the element, right? So we can do that using active. Sorry, yeah, container, and the pseudo classes. And I put a colon and then active. So this what specifically means is when the user clicks on it, what styles do you want to apply it to that particular? So we just put the blue over here. Okay, so you have when you click on it, it'll become blue, right? So these are what pseudo classes basically are. For now, I'll just come over here. Okay, this was the container. I'll just comment it out. You can comment out things using the control slash shortcut in VS Code. Uh, I'll take this formula. There's one more interesting one. Okay, so I've take in this form I put like 5 input type text over here. I'll just come over in the CSS. I'll put form. Okay, I'll just put input. I want them one below another. Okay, so I can just put display block over here. So they'll all come one below another right now. And let's put a margin now 10 pixels top right, bottom and left. Now one interesting thing you can do is when you go to a form submission in any website and you click on it, you can see it gets highlighted, right? This highlighted is called a focus state of that particular element. So now when you click on tab, you see it keeps shifting around the input fields over here. So even using an pseudo class called focus. So I'll just put input for focus over here. You can style what type of focus state it will have. So I can just say I just want a border of solid and I want it red in color. Okay. So now I'll click on it. You can see it's red over here. It's slightly red. Even when I go to others, it becomes red right now. Are you guys like? Do you understand the concept of pseudo classes? This basically like whenever the user performs a particular action on an element, that particular style gets applied on it. Is that clear?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, right. Okay. Uh, Next, we'll see transitions.
Kunal,
Okay. Yeah, Raghu.
I have one doubt.
Yeah, tell
We
me.
changed red, but black also here.
Yeah, that's basically because of an property called outline. This we don't have to dive in much deep right now. It's not
Yeah.
important.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah. All right. So this was what pseudo classes was basically. We'll come back to here and I'll comment this out. Okay. And I'll comment this back. Okay. So now we have a box which we click and hover. But now look at this. Uh, it happens in an instant, like immediately within a fraction of a second. What if in certain cases or in most cases you wouldn't want that to happen? You'd want it to be like a little bit slow, and it's like it slowly comes in and slowly goes out, right? So we can do that type of uh, slow transition using the transition property in CSS. So you can start with like you can go to the like suppose you're hovering over it, you go to the parent element where the hashtag container and you just put transition which property you want to transition first. So in our case is the background. So we put transition property and the background over here. Okay. And then next you want to like specify how fast do you want it to change it to red in color. Okay. That you can do it using the transition duration property. So I'll just say like 3 seconds something. And then the transition uh, timing function that's like specify how fast you want that animation to happen. You want to like in the start you want it to happen really fast or do you want to happen at really slow. You can use that you can set it using the transition timing function. So I'll say I wanted to come in slow and go out also slow, and just put ease in out over here. And the next one is a transition delay. Like how much delay do you want the transition to take place? For now, we don't want any, so I'll just put it at 0. I mean, it's not immediate kind of transition. So it's already happening right now. Okay, I think just 1 second, guys. Okay, this seems to be a side problem. Okay, let's not. It's short and probably, so it takes a bit of trouble over there. So let's do background color. Background color. Okay, you can see like when I hover over it, it turns red. So when I hover out of it, it slowly, like it takes 3 seconds to come back to the transition, like to the initial state and to the new state that is after hover. So I'll just put like 1 second so you can see it quickly. So when I go here, it takes 1 second to go back to go to red, and when I hover out of it, it takes again 1 second to come out of it. Okay, so now transition delay, right? Transition delay specifies how much delay you want. Say I wanted to become red only after 1 second, so I can put transition delay as 1 second, and then after 1 second only it will start transitioning. So these are the 4 properties related to transition. But obviously this is a bit hectic. You have to type a lot, and it's uh, very tiresome to remember as well. So instead of doing all this, we have a CSS shorthand property for transition that is simply just transition, simply called transition, and then you follow this same order over here. Okay, so you just put background color. I want which property I want to apply the transition to, that is the background color. How long do I want it to transition to? 1 second. Like the function, timing function of how fast or how slow I want the transition to appear using the, so that is the third property over here. And then the delay, so same thing, 1 second delay. Now if I go over here, it'll again take 1 second. It works. So this is like a shorthand property for all these 4 properties over here. Any doubts with this?
No.
All right. Okay. So this was the transition property for CSS. You're not only limited to background color. In case suppose you have many properties on hover, you're changing the margin or in a property, you can either put them in a like a comma and then put margin over here like this. Or if suppose say you want all the properties in the hover to change, right? You can just simply put a all. That means all properties within the whatever is changing, whatever is transitioning will get changed. You see, it still works like that. All right. For now, this is about transition. I'll just comment this out, and we can move on to keyframes and animations right now. Transition is a kind of animation, but you're kind of limited with what you can do. It's like a simple from one state to another. In animation, you can define like how the fine ending state and the final state, and in between states like of a particular animation that you want to set. Suppose say this one over here, we don't need these right now. So this container over here, say I wanted to become a circle, right? What I can do is I can just do put add keyframes, okay, and then I just put like circle name or add keyframes followed by the name of the animation, okay. Then you open a curly braces, and then you put 0%, another curly braces, and below the 0%, you put 100%, another curly braces, okay. So what is the 0% and the 100%, right? 0% here means zeros from the start. This is basically like from and to of the timing. Suppose say the animation is for 5 seconds. So 0% of 5 seconds is basically zero only, and 100% means 5 seconds. So between from 5 seconds, what the animation you want to initial animation state to the final animation state. I mean, 0 and 100% are not the value values. Suppose say in between you want another animation, you can just put 50% over here. Okay. So say the circle, right? So initially its border radius will be it'll have no border radius. Okay. Initially, then you say that not border radius here exactly. At the end of the animation, you wanted to have a border radius of 50%. That is basically a circle over here. Okay. And say I want the background to change when it's moving from one animation state to other. Okay. So here background red. Okay. Then again background to blue over here. And the final, I want the background to be say again lime green or something. Okay. Now, how do I apply this animation, what I've set over here, to our like the container over here, right? It's pretty straightforward. Okay. All you have to do is use the animation properties over here. Okay. So we'll come down here. Animation name, that is circle in our case. Okay. Animation duration, we wanted just as like 5 seconds kind of duration. You can see it's already starting right now. Animation, same thing, like how we had transition timing function here also I can specify start in slow and go out slow as well. Okay. Then animation, like you can say delay, say I want 1 second delay. And then we have like the animation iteration count. How many times do I want it to continue? Like how many times when the user comes to the website for the first time, how many times should that animation happen? Say I come here already for one time, so I just put one animation. So this will only happen one time. After that, it won't happen again, and it will go back to the initial state. I'll specify like how to stop that. Okay. Now say you want the animation to stay in the final one. You just go and put animation, uh, sorry, animation fill mode, I think, and forwards. Forwards over here. What this means is once the animation is done, you stay at here, the final animation shape. If you wanted the to go to the initial state, you just put backwards over here, and it'll go back to the initial state. I mean, this is a default value, so we don't usually do this. Most commonly uses forwards over here. Okay. Now, same as transition, this is too big, takes up too much time to type, and lots of space in the code as well. So simple, just use animation shorthand property that the CSS provides, and you start with the same, uh, like how we had property in the transition first one. Here we'll have the animation name. So in our case, it's the circle. Then we have the duration, that is 5 seconds duration. We want it to happen like slowly. So ease in and ease out. That is the animation timing function. Then how much delay do we want for it? 1 second delay. How many times do we want it to repeat? One time. And then at which state do we want it to end? We want it to end once the animation is complete. So you just type forwards. It works the same way. That's all. I mean, you're not really limited to this. You can also like put transform, translate, in the X direction by the say 400 pixels. Now you can see it moves like that. If I were to refresh, you can see it moving slowly. So this is what you can do with keyframes and animation in CSS. It might seem a bit overwhelming now, and given that there are a lot of properties associated with it, but as you keep practicing, this can be really useful to making your website look like put your website in a different level. Any doubts with this animation property in CSS, animation and
No.
keyframes? All right.
Can you repeat the animation fill mode?
Animation fill mode, no issues. Okay. Now suppose say we have like for now three time keyframes. These are called keyframes for our animation. So 0% means initially at 0 seconds. 50% means in our case here we put 5 seconds, right? So 50% of 5 seconds is 2.5 seconds. Then at the end of the animation, it is like we want this property, right? Now suppose if I remove this and if I were to play it again, you can see this all this animation takes place and it goes towards the end of 100%. But then once the animation is complete, it goes back to the initial state that it was in. So now you don't want that to happen. Okay, you can specify at which state the animation should stay in after the animation is complete. That is after the end of 5 seconds. So animation fill mode specifies that, and animation fill mode with the value forwards specifies like once the animation is complete, you take the final state. That is the 100% over here. Is that clear?
Yeah, thanks.
Right? Anybody else? Any doubt? No doubts, right?
No.
No, okay. Okay. Next, we'll just thread a little bit on responsiveness using media queries. Okay. So I'll just come over here, comment this out, and I'll just bring this. Okay. So what I've done is I've just created a div with an ID box. Just 1 second, please. Yeah, sorry. Right, a div with an ID box, and there are like four other divs with a class item within them with like index 1, 2, 3, 4. So I'll come to my style sheet. I'll come over here. Okay, I'll just put like a box over here and simple width maybe 100. Let's just give 500 pixels and a height of 500 pixels. Okay, and border solid. Sorry, margin 0. Okay, I mean this is a simple way to like horizontally center any element. You just give a margin 0 and an auto. This auto basically goes for margin left and margin right, and it adjusts itself in the center of the web page or whichever content it is in. Okay, so far I've given this for that. Let's just increase the width for explaining all. Okay, so I'll just put 800. Okay, and for the each item we have like with 50% of the border solid, maybe red something. Okay, maybe a margin of say 10 pixels over here. Okay, so now this is just a simple div container with four items in them. Let's just go into inspect tools. Okay, over here you see this icon over here. It's called toggle device toolbar. Here you can see your web page in various devices, how it looks like. Okay, so I'll just go full screen over here and I'll click on this. So you can adjust the size over here and you can see how your website looks in various screen sizes. So if I keep going smaller, since we have like a set width of 800 pixels, when my screen size, it's here, it's mentioned over here. Okay, so when my screen size goes below 800, there's a horizontal scroll happening. If I go even smaller, the horizontal scroll increases because we gave a set width of 800 pixels. See that? So this is really bad when it comes to mobile responsive design, because you want to have like a unique design of your website for phone and a separate one for your website. So that's where responsive design comes into play, and it can easily be done with media queries. So you just like add keyframes. We have add media. In the add media, you specify like say we have two properties over here: max width and min width. Okay, max width is the largest possible width possible for the device. Min width is like the smallest possible width for the device for the styling where you want to apply. Now, suppose say I want a specific styling below 800 pixels. So I'll just put max width 800 pixels. Okay, and then I'll take the box again, target the box, and I'll just specify again width. I can reduce it to 500 pixels over here. Now, if I come back, if I go below 800, you see the box gets adjusted over here. Now you can see it's getting adjusted quite immediately over here. You can just come over here and put transition width and just put maybe like 2 seconds something. So you can see it slowly gets adjusted and goes back. This is what I mean. We are not really limited to like screen sizes. You can even specify like at which orientation the screen is. So you can just put and we are using like logical operators over here. So now if I just put orientation and I specify landscape, what this basically means is any device that is below 800 pixels and has an orientation landscape, that is the one we are current in, that styling should get applied. I mean, this not I'm not sure. Yeah. I mean, it's not really. Other than this, we also have like you can specify like for screen based, like you can apply it like that. And then what if you're trying, you could, some pages have that print option, right? So you can apply print also, like print means apply this style value for the print pages over there. Any doubts? Is this clear, guys, about media queries?
Yes.
Yep. I mean, media queries are basically what help
Yeah.
make a page responsive rather than the relative unit. So using media queries, you can target what type of screen. You can even target like a resolution if it is a colored, like if the resolution of the screen is color, then you can just put and color over like this. You can target the size of the screen as well. Using this, you can specify what type of style to apply to a particular device based on certain parameters that I've shown you over here. Okay. All right. Now, any doubts, anyone with this? If there's no doubts, then we can continue with our clone right now.
No doubt.
No doubts, right? Okay. I'll just close this one. Okay. If you remember the Spotify, this is the original Spotify one. Last time okay, we saw till the sidebar. So I'll just open it up again. Just one. Okay, so we built this sidebar, right? Last time in the ending. Today we'll be building this navbar over here. Okay, this navbar and the bottom music player. Okay. Any doubts with how we built the sidebar? This one. No, right?
No.
Okay, so then let's just start with this. You remember the wireframing process that we had, breaking down that particular element into smaller and smaller so that we style them individually. Like we started with a whole website, we broke it down into a sidebar, a content area, and a music player head. We did the sidebar like this. We broke it down into small pieces and then styled it. Today, in the content area, we'll be creating the navbar and the music player head. Okay. So I've kept them separately right now. So let's just try and break it down again. Oh, we have the the navbar over here. That is the full part. This one. Can anyone tell me like what will be the other smaller sections of the navbar?
The
The
arrows
upgrade
and
and
the
the
buttons.
account section.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. Okay. So I'll just put over here. So this is right. The arrows is one, and the upgrade and the account is another one. Small section within the navbar. You can further split it into smaller ones using like this is separate one and this is another one. And the same thing applies to here as well. This is another component and this is another component. So we focus on styling only one thing at a time, and it avoids making the whole project overwhelming. Okay, so let's get started now. I'll just keep the real one on the side. Okay, and I'll go to index.html. If you remember, we made the sidebar over here. It's a good practice to put comments like mentioning like this is the sidebar of clone or something like that. And then we had like div content that we have yet to work on that we'll work on right now. So we can just put another another comment content of clone. And now we'll start working on the navbar. Okay, so within the content, we'll mention another comment, navbar. We'll use an nav element. Okay, this whole thing is a nav basically. This whole thing is within a nav element. Within the nav, we have like an div dot. We can just call it navigate. Navigate, okay. Navigate, that is basically the two arrowheads, and within that, we'll use font awesome over here again. Okay. Within font awesome, you can just search like something like a left and right arrow, right? Just maybe like left, you can search over here, and right, it's this one. Okay. Just click on it, and everybody knows how we got the font awesome, right? So basically, in your head part, you have to paste this link. Does everybody have this link?
Yeah.
Yes, Kunal.
Aditya, you mentioned last time not that, right?
Yes, sir.
Should I? Okay, I'll just put in the chat box. So you just paste this link in your head part, and then once you paste that, you can access any of the icons in this website. So right now we need a left icon over here, so we'll just copy that, and we'll paste it within the navigate div, and then we need a right. Same thing, but pointing towards the right,
Okay, thanks.
and right. Okay, then this one, the right one, and you paste it. We will not worry about how it looks right now. We're just structuring it. Okay. So now next we have the upgrade button and the user button. The user one will open up like this, another, like a navigation kind of thing, like a navigation menu. Okay. Okay. So now for the upgrade button, you can just simply put div buttons, something like that. And then just put upgrade button, just give it like a button class. I mean, these two have like a common styling. So you can just put btn and then another class btn upgrade to target this one in specific. And within one, you can just put upgrade like that. The next one is basically like an, like the user div, the user button that opens another menu. So in this div, like, and it has a drop down as well. So you can just put a class of, profile drop down, okay. And then within the drop down, we have two elements. That is the user image itself. That is this one, and the actual drop down. So this is like the one that we currently see. It's the visible one, and it's like hidden, and you're only able to see when you like hover or when you click on it. So we just specify within this. Just one second.
Mommy asked.
Yeah. Okay. Right, and the menu is hidden when by default. So you can just within this we have two common. One is the visible button. One is the hidden menu. So you can just put div dot visible over here, and then another one div dot hidden. Okay. Within the visible one, we have the image and the name of the user, and like a small arrow pointing down. So we'll add it over here using like the image tag. We'll give an source within our. If you went over here, we already have like an image JPG within that drive link, and it's saved within our images folder. So all we have to do is this images / user.png. Okay, and alt we can just put user. That's about it. Okay, and then we have like a span. Let's just give this a unique ID. So ID of user, and this span basically like it's the username over here. So just put your name. You can put your name. Anything is all right. And next we have like an arrow down kind of icon. So we'll just go back and search arrow down. Okay. We need like a specific, I don't know. Yeah, this one exactly. Right. We'll take this one and then we'll put it over here. So far we've built the whole nav bar, the two buttons over here, the upgrade button, and the visible part of the user button. Now, next thing is the drop down. So in the drop down, we have like four options. That is the account, profile, upgrade, and logout, and enclosed within a box. Okay, so this, what we can do is you go to the hidden part. There's a reason we have put it all within the profile drop down. You'll see right now. Okay. So within that we have like you can put in a UL, and within the UL we have like four LIs, or you can just put like a class to them so we can style them. So they are all links to another part, and we need like four of those. Okay, so now we have it over here. So we see account, and like a share kind of thing over here. Okay, so we can just go to Font Awesome again. I think it's like an external link. Right, this one. You copy this and you put this over here. The next one is like a profile link. So profile. The other one is upgrade, right? Upgrade to premium, and that icon as well. And the final one, logout. Okay, so we've finished putting the layout of the website. It doesn't look much good, right? Because we haven't styled it yet. Okay, so now any doubts on how we structured this?
No doubts.
No.
No, right? Okay, then let's just start styling it. Okay, I'll just keep it side by side. Okay, so I'll show you like what we are targeting on the side. Okay, so we'll come down. Within CSS also, it's a good practice to put comments specifying for what the style is for. So here we are styling the navbar, right? So navbar styling. Okay. So first we'll give a display. I mean, anybody has any idea how we'll separate these two with a distance like this?
Flexbox.
Flexbox, that's right. So you select the nav element that is within what the button and the navigate are enclosed. So you take the nav, give a display flex. Okay, and what property allows to put the distance between the both? Any idea, guys?
Justify content. Space between.
Yes, exactly. Justify content and space between. Okay, and then we'll just specify some spacing around the box. So we'll just give a padding of say top and bottom 10 pixels, top and bottom 10 and right and left of 15, little bit spacing over the between the elements and the box. Okay, next we'll target these left and right. You see it's like a circle over here, so we want the same thing for our website as well. So let's just go nav. Within the nav we'll take the navigate element, and within the navigate we want the icon, right? So the I tag will target, give it like a display inline block, because icons are basically like inline elements and you can't give margin top and right, so we want to give that, so that's why we're putting display inline block. Next we like increase the size by 20 pixels. Let us see and do. Right, it won't be visible yet. That's all right. We can just target it using the. We just give it like a small width for now. So nav dot profile drop down and the image tag, and then you just give like a width of 30 pixels maybe. Yeah, that's right. Okay, so we made it small for now. Okay, let's not worry about that much. Right, so the icons we want it to be round, right? So we just give it like a border radius of 50%. 50% over here. Then maybe make it like oh yes, spacing between the two buttons. So you give like a margin 0.5 pixel, and then it's like a green color. So I've I've mentioned last time that you can use this extension called Color Picker or Colorzilla from Chrome, and you can choose which color you want from the website, and you just copy paste it. So I've already gone through this before. So the font color we'll be putting here is you can put RGB like, and then it's like grayish type. So 828282 over here, and when the user the mouse comes over it, it should be like a pointer type. It's not visible yet because we haven't styled it fully. That's okay. Before that, Yeah. For that, I forgot to mention this whole content, right? It's on the left, sorry, on the right side of the page. So before going to that, you just target the content box and you put like a position fixed. Okay, the spelling, and you give like a, we want it to be on the right side. So top 0 and right 0 over here like this. So we'll take it over that side. You can see that now it's all starting to become visible right now. Okay, and then after that we want like a height of 100%, so it takes up the whole space over here. Okay, let's put like a background for this button now. So color we have given. Next we'll specify a background for the button. So just it's like a, in the website you can see it's like a black kind of background. So just come over here and put background as black. So you can just put hashtag 000. Okay, and since it's like getting collapsed within this one, so we just put a padding over here. Or you say padding top with 10 and 15 pixels. Let's see. Yeah, so it looks like the Spotify's one right now. So we are done with the button. Okay. Next, we'll style the upgrade button over here. So you just, we need like a common one. So we just give nav and button. Same thing, you want like a cursor pointer when it's on top of it. So this, your mouse cursor will become like an hand kind of this one when you put cursor pointer. After that, let's make it a little bit bold using font weight. Then specify like a width of 150 pixels, height of maybe 40 pixels. Okay, a bit big. Let's reduce it to like 38 pixels. Okay. Then black background. Text should be like white in color. So over here, and then we want like a border, 1 pixel solid and a white border. And then you can see it curves a bit in the actual website. The buttons curve a bit, so we can just do that using the border radius over here. But instead of, don't want it to be a circle, so we'll just give like a absolute value of say 20 pixels. Okay, so you can see it's starting to look like the original button right now over here. Okay, and wait 1 second there. Okay, let's continue. And next we have to style the profile button over here. So you can see that since we gave it like a div, it's all coming in the next line. We don't want that. So nav dot profile drop down and the dot profile drop down visible, sorry, dot visible. That is the button part. You want it to be like display inline. Sorry. Okay, so now it's all coming side by side. That's what we actually wanted. Next, we'll style the user button. So you can just go dot visible over here. I mean, you get the idea of why we're doing this. Like, so we know that within the nav, there is a profile dropdown, and within the profile dropdown, there is the visible element. Or you can simply just directly target the visible element with its class. Okay, so we'll give like the same styling as the other one. But since there is the image and all, we have to accommodate that as well. So remember, like we gave like in 30 pixels, so that 30 plus this width gives 180. We can get this down because it's a separate element. Okay, so with 180 pixels, same height, maybe we can reduce it for the 32. 38 was a bit much, so maybe 32, tile another. Yeah, that looks perfect. Okay. Then background, you can give it like a little bit darker than gray, 282828 over here. And same text should have white color. So a white color over here, some padding within the box. So like 3 pixel padding, say like 3 pixels, 10 pixels, and maybe 5 pixels over here. Yeah, and a border radius. Radius maybe 16 pixels. Okay. Okay, now we have to accommodate the image as well. Okay, so we can just go to the image tag. We want it to be like a circle, just like the original one. Radius 50%. Reduce its height a bit, and bring it down. It's a bit top, right? So you can just bring it down using the position tag. Position later from top 8 pixels, and from left like minus 10 pixels maybe, right there. So now these look close to each other, right? Okay, and one more thing before that, we go to the nav profile, drop down, and we'll give like a position relative. Okay, because the hidden part, we wanted to take it, we'll give it like an absolute positioning, and this will take its position with respect to the drop down over here. Okay, so let's move on. Okay, so we have the nav dot profile drop down, and within that we have the span, that is the name part of the element. So you can just give position relative and left minus 5 pixels to move it a little bit. So that now all of it looks centered over here. Okay. And next is the arrow, right? So within, we'll just give it like a simple, this drop down arrow here. So we'll just, for now, we can just give it like a class, maybe arrow. So we can style it or give it our own style. So dot arrow. Okay. This also we want it to be little bit top. So this position relative, and top, move it up top by 2 pixels. That, just like that. Okay. Is everybody clear with this so far?
Yes.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So now we'll start styling the hidden part over here. What the basic idea is, when the cursor comes over the name part, and like I mentioned, a pseudo class of hidden, not hidden, sorry, hover state will take place, and this one will become visible. So let's see how that is done. Okay. So now you just take the dot hidden, you give it a display none by default. So it's hidden over there, just like that. Then you give a position absolute, sorry, absolute, and it'll take its position with respect to the box over here, because we gave position relative for the parent box. Now we can just specify for now, let's not keep it none, because we want to see where it's actually going. We'll just give like a top 25 pixels, right, 5 pixels, give it like an Z index, so it takes more priority than the other elements. So just maybe 2 or something. Does anybody have any idea what Z index does? Or should I explain it? Any idea?
Explain.
Right? Okay. So what basically in a website, you basically see only 2 dimensions. That is the basic X and the horizontal one and the vertical one. You can think of the Z direction as a line coming out of your screen and a line going behind your screen. So what really Z index does is support it. It brings a element by front by the value mentioned over here. It's a unitless value. So now if there was another element over here with Z index 1, and I have this element with Z index 2, this will take more priority than other, and it will be displayed on top of the element with Z index 1. Do you get it?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Right. Next is like a background to it, same as the the name one. So it's like hashtag 282828. Then a little bit box shadow, like the one over here. You can see it doesn't exactly look like it's on top of it, and there's a shadow behind that. So you can give that using the box shadow property. Right? We want to see how it looks. So box shadow, maybe 1 pixel, then a spread of 5 pixels, and uh, RGBA black, and with little bit opacity, right? Right. So you can see it's very lightly over there. Okay. Next, we'll give like spacing within the box. So let's just say 15 pixels and maybe 4 pixels right and left. Okay. And then width of 10 pixels and height of 170 pixels. So it's more or less like this. One thing we have to style the UL elements now. So you just we'll take in the, oh yeah, before that we'll put this one again. Now I'll show you like how on hover you can bring that element back. So you just go dot profile drop down. When it's hovered, the child element should, that is the hidden element, should become display block. So now you see there, as simple as that. Is this working for you guys as well? Any doubts on how we got this to become visible on hover?
No.
No, right?
No.
Okay. Next, we want to style the UL, the list elements. So we just put or maybe if you can't type this one, then just remember we gave a dot link class. So just a dot link, and then just put list style as none. Okay, so the list is not there anymore. Those bulleted points, some spacing between the elements. So we'll just give like 7 pixels, and maybe 10 pixels. And then the text color should be white, and we'll reduce the font size a bit. And the next one, when the link is hovered, we want that background to change. Like the background becomes a little bit highlighted like this. So we'll apply that over here. You can see the styling starting to come over here. So like how when it's hovered, we want the background to change. So the color for that is a 3B, 3B, 3B. And a little bit border radius. Radius of 5 pixels. Okay. So now see, it's starting to look like the real one now. Okay, I made a mistake over here. It's .link. Right. So now you see, now it's coming. Next, we want some spacing between the account and these icons over here. So what you can do is .link, and all the icons within that. There's the I tag. Just put you can use a float, right? Or you can very well just put a margin left auto. Margin left auto. Okay, that it's not working for now. There's another ways also to align it. You can give flex to the link, and then you can put justify content space between, or you can use a old way of doing it, like float right. Right. So now that's done. Okay. Just go and have it's not coming because it doesn't have a set width. You come over here and give like a width 100%. Okay, that's not working. Okay, no, let's just see what we can do about it. Okay, you can just come to the content part and just put like 2 properties over here. Right. From no, this is not what I was looking for. Just a second, I'm having small problem. Percent and oh yeah, this remember we gave like 20% width for the sidebar. What we basically do is for the content part, we wanted like the whole screen that is 100% minus the 20 we gave for sidebar, just like an 80% over here. Now you can see it's adjusted over here. Like you can just do one more thing. The button, which is the original one, does it have any spacing? Oh yeah, there's a bit of spacing here. So we can just come to the button that we made and put like a margin, like margin right of 15 pixels. Yeah, just like that. That. And we are done with the nav bar. Are you guys getting the same thing? Any doubts with this?
No.
No, right? Like it's directly like how we are doing, especially this one over here, the pseudo, using the pseudo class property, how we are getting the hidden to like hidden to display. Okay. Now let's start with the. I mean, I don't think time will be sufficient, but just 1 second. Okay, sorry about that. Right. Next, we'll continue with the music player head over here. One. Yeah, sorry about it. Let's continue. Okay, so next is the music player head that is in the bottom part over here. Let's just use the wireframing technique again. Okay, so can anyone tell me how we are going to do it? I'll just do the starting part. That is the whole, the container over here. Can anyone tell me the next part of the next other smaller component of the whole music player head?
The song poster and the song name.
Yeah, that's right. This is like one
The
part of
left
the.
part, right part, and the middle part would be the
Yes,
containers.
yes, exactly. So we, that is the, as you mentioned, the song name and that image. Then we have that the middle part, that is the controls, music control, and then the other controls over here as well. So this two, this one over here and this one over here, they are pretty straightforward. Okay, so these are just elements placed one after other in a inline manner. This the main part is this one over here that gets a bit complex, but it's easy to build using the flex layout. Okay, so you can just split it again into two more parts. So that is a whole top like skip, play, pause, and all that,
And
and the
timeline.
bottom. Yeah, exactly. So now you see we've broken it down into small parts over here. Okay, if time is sufficient, we can style it. I'll just show you how we are going to give it how we are going to structure it. Okay. So I'll close this, and not here. Okay. So now we'll come out. Okay. And so this whole thing is an music player. So I'll just give like a div with an ID player. Okay. Within the div, we have three parts. So that first one is with an ID, like you could call it like player artist. artist. The next one is like an player control that is the middle part, and the third part is the like an other call to action button. So you can just call it like an ID, div ID with a player under like CTA call to action basically. So let's start with the first one over here. That is the music, that the artist image and the like icon and all that. So within that, we have the image. So just an image tag with a class. You could say like artist image. Okay. And alt like artist. Okay. If you remember, I shared a link. I sent this image over here. So we'll use that one over our clone. So we can just put a source image dash artist, yeah, artist underscore image dot jp jpg, I think. Right, images, sorry, artist underscore image. Okay, that's not a problem. Okay, after the image, we have like the artist name. So you can just put like a div with a class artist details over here. And then within that, we have like the song name and the artist name. So you put div song and the div like the artist, so the class artist. So the song name is basically like Eternal Youth. That's in case of the poster that I sent you. And then the artist is Rudo here. After the artist name, we have like a like icon and like a screen on screen that is like this takes the player head to an external side screen over here. If I click on this, it comes over here like this. So we can search the icons over here. Font awesome. We'll use the same thing over here, the external link. That comes over here, and a heart icon that'll come before the external link. This is this one. Okay, and with that we finished the artist details part. Now the player head in the middle. Okay, in that we have two parts. One is the top controls and one is the below timeline. Okay, so within that we can just split it into two parts. So div ID top controls, and within that below that we have the timeline. So this div ID timeline, something like this. Within the controls we have like the shuffle, the play, and the forward. Since there's a bit of a time constraint, I'll just share this with you guys. You can see the chat box, right? So you can just copy paste that one. Okay, copy paste that. You can find them in Font Awesome as well, but since we have a little bit time constraint, I'm just sharing it over here. So you go within the control, you paste those. Okay. Next, the timeline itself. So within timeline, we have just simple three parts. Okay. That is you can say like a div time. This the initial time, so that's like 000. Then the ending time, I just say 4 minutes something. And before that, we have the line, right? The line that indicates which part we are in. So just put HR and with the class player line. And now the last part, that is the other buttons over here. You can see how when you hover over them, like it shows you what that particular button is for, like connect to device and cue the song like that. That can be done. It's pretty straightforward. Okay, so what you have to do, you see the title attribute over this tag. What the title attribute specifies gives an extra information about that element, and the main purpose is when the mouse hovers over it, it brings up a small pop-up giving the information that you put in the title. Okay, so now the final one, that is the CD. We'll finish with the structuring part today. We can do the styling in the next one. Okay, so I'll just share you can see the chat box. This one over here is for the additional buttons over here. These ones. Okay, so you can just copy them. Okay, and you can put them within the player icon. Okay, it's the same thing over here. Basically, the font awesome icons, I'm getting them over here. I'm giving them a title so that when you hover over it, it gives information about what that icon is, and the speaker line, that this line over here. So giving an HR in the speaker line. All right, and we are done with structuring. You can see how easy it was to do it when we use the wireframing process over here. Is that clear, guys?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Any doubts
Yep.
for now?
No.
No, right? Okay. If there are no doubts, then we can continue in the next session. Like we'll style the player head, and we'll also finish the whole body part of the website. Is that okay? So no doubts, right? So
Okay,
far,
sir.
nothing. Anything you want to ask, feel free to. Okay, I mean, if there are no doubts, you can always ping me in WhatsApp as well. And yeah, guys, thank you for coming today. I hope you were able to learn a bit more about CSS and the wireframing process as well. All right, you can leave now.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, guys.
Thank you,
Thank
Kunal.
you.
Thank you.
PD.
You can stop the recording.
Yeah, I stopped. Wait, I just. Oh, right.